Hello and welcome to another wonderful episode of Aamchi Legends. And in today's episode, we have an Aamchi, a legend who has been into sports and cricket, of course, India's national favorite pastime, passion, whatever you call it. And we have with us none other than Shishir Hattangadi, who is currently the CEO of the Baroda Cricket Association. As we all know, Shishir, right from the Ranji days, he was captaining Mumbai team way back. And interesting to know, he also has been very much involved right at the inception, from the setup for the death in Chargers and also in the restructuring of the Mumbai Indians. So get to know a lot more about not just Shishir, but all the behind the scenes happenings in the Indian cricket scene. So Shishir, welcome to Aamchi Legends.
Thank you. Bare lagle येऊन
So nice.
and bare lagle to speak a language that I'm so close to, and all of us are close to.
Yeah.
It's something that we identify with, and that is where we belong. I mean, we can speak French, Greek, Latin, but Amchikali is where we all belong. So happy to be a part of this.
Great, really nice to have you. Shishir, your early journey, right, from Kolkata to Mumbai, I think none of us, and not many of us actually know. We always thought that you were from Mumbai because that's where your cricketing journey started. Can you share a little bit about that, from your journey from Kolkata to Mumbai and the challenges you possibly faced there?
Very interesting. Not many people know, but it's good that you know, and I'm very proud. Bengal-born boy. Not that I grew up in a time where the residue of the British Raj was still there in Calcutta, and in those days it was Calcutta, and of course, growing up in going to La Martiniere school where you had a lot of Anglo-Indian teachers, so there was a lot of British influence there in Calcutta. That was it was called Calcutta then. So again, there was the influence of the British habits, and a lot of them would be, the restaurants at Park Street or cricket on a Saturday at the CCFC, watching it from outside and hoping that one day you could get into the CCFC to play, or cricket at La Martiniere, with a British coach or an Anglo-Indian coach. So there were strong influences in my life, and my father used to play a bit of club cricket in Calcutta, so I would go accompany him to those club matches, and uh, my mom would obviously take my sister for a movie, which was across the road. So the early days of getting attracted to cricket were two things. One was, of course, the fact that you got to hit a couple of balls at lunchtime, when the seniors or when my dad's colleagues bowled a few to you. I was a little 7-year-old maybe. And of course, the fact that, I loved the congregation at lunchtime, where everybody sat together and ate, maybe something, not Amchi food, of course, which I love, but something that everybody could dig into. So I had the whole philosophy of, sitting together and eating as a team. It attracted me, and that is where I think the first seeds of inquisitiveness and passion towards the game came up. And then, of course, I moved to Mumbai as in the sixth standard, and I went to St. Mary's, and there was little bit cricket there, but never seen the world outside of cricket. But my real cricket, I think, began when I went to Podar College, when I decided for two reasons that I would take up cricket. One is, of course, the fact that I was not a great student. So, that extra effort may have got me from 60 to 70%, but I wasn't going to be a scientist or a doctor. So I thought to myself, I may as well put in those hard yards on the cricket field.
True.
It may take me somewhere. I mean, you didn't have the objective of playing any level, but being born in Calcutta, being Aamchi, Mumbai, Calcutta, Mumbai being a very Marathi-centric game, with epicenters in Shivaji Park and Matunga, and you wondered, you didn't think too much about where the game was going to take you. All you wanted to do was play it because you loved playing it, be it in the gully, be it out in your building, be it after school, being playing interclass matches or building matches, and that's where it all started.
True.
And somewhere I realized that when you're passionate about something, it all falls into place, and it's all about not expecting something from it, but you just keep giving, and when you do that, it seems to fall into place. I think I got more than I deserved frankly, people say a lot of things, but I really believe I got more than I deserved
True.
from a game that I
Yeah.
passionately loved, and that's where the story sort of started for me.
Okay, okay. But you know, your transition into Ranji, right? I know you were playing university and then you're transitioning on into Ranji and again as a captain of cricket. And of course, cricket in those days must have been completely different from what we see today. So how was this? How was it easy, difficult, challenging to get into that level then?
खरं म्हणारी एक जेझुइट स्कूलावर
Uh-huh.
चल्लो.
Oh.
They would say, oh, English उलयत रे हांव. म्हणारी ताका communication skills असतात ती. आणि then of course, the fact that I lived fortunately in South Bombay. So,
Okay.
because म्हाका पप्पाल ते company flat दिलेले ते Warden
Uh-huh.
Road. So
Okay.
everybody thought, oh, author, he comes from a very affluent family.
Okay.
Uh, so actually, to be honest, my comfort zone was still Talmakiwadi or Sunawala or Ganesh Prasad. And that was my comfort zone, but
Yeah.
destiny got me to Warden Road.
Okay. So you became a
So
Sobo kid overnight, huh?
yeah, well, so in now they call it Sobo. Tower culture, like Warden Road, the name Warden Road was very British. How can hard ghara chal astalo,
Okay.
that kind of thing. So that was nothing like that. I mean, I think the cricket administration in Mumbai always felt, "Arey, English school मध्ये जातो, Jesuit school मध्ये जातो." The prefix to the school name is Saint. So
Huh.
म्हणजे इंग्लिश चांगला बोलतो, म्हणजे बरं इंग्लिश उलयतल चल्लो
Huh.
तरी. When he's captain, he can always, probably speak and express his team's views. And dusra ashil ke I was always, I don't know, somewhere the administration always saw that, I had this leadership quality. And,
Mm-hmm.
one great qualification of a leadership quality is, I think you have to accept that you are not going to be the best player in the team.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Very
So,
important.
so I think they said that this guy can play long, he can serve the game, but he's definitely not the best player in the team.
Mm-hmm.
And म्हणून, and then you try, because of that kalzata, you try and get the team together, you try and get mindsets together, egos together,
Yeah.
and you're able to sort of be the leader.
Yeah.
But I believe that, you also have to be the most liked guy in the team to be a leader, because you cannot be if you're not the best player. In those days, I think that was the mindset. And I started leading every format of cricket for Mumbai, whether it was school cricket, whether it was intercollegiate, whether it was university, under 19, under 22, and
Mm-hmm.
Bombay. So,
Wow.
I've had some great players who played under me, including Ravi Shastri, the Indian coach.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome.
And for university cricket, for Mumbai University. So I realized with time that, leadership is also your ability to switch off from what you're doing as a captain on the ground. And when you, sort of play the role as a batsman or a
Mm-hmm.
bowler or whatever,
Yeah.
the switch off button effective aska, because otherwise if you carry your leadership into batting, then, you can probably confuse yourself.
Yeah. You go on a different zone
Uh,
altogether. I can understand.
Absolutely. So I think it was ingrained in me, not explicitly by the men that mattered,
Mm-hmm.
but it was ingrained that I had a leadership quality. So whether
Okay.
it was my company, Tata's, or whether it was everybody, they lay our Shishir will lead the side. I think it came from the fact, on a lighter note, that I was not the best player.
Okay. That's a different story, and I don't think I don't think that was the only thing. I think what leadership is something what really, and I think your communication skills, getting the team together, made all the difference. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it did. It in a sense, I must, as modest as I might get, I didn't know Marathi. Okay, when I came to Mumbai, I was primarily a Bengali boy.
Yeah.
Aamchi Bengali who came from Calcutta to
Yeah.
Mumbai. I went to St. Mary's, so you can't expect Marathi to be of a very high standard there, though
Agreed.
it was
Yeah.
compulsory.
Yeah.
And I had a teacher called Mr. Machado, so you can imagine what a mess
Yeah.
I was in when it came to speaking Marathi.
Yeah.
But luckily, my parents spoke in Aamchi, and Amma, as all Ammas are, very, very, very passionate. Chal and visru nahi Aamchi gal. You know,
Right.
even in a big congregation, Aamchi gal and
Right.
and you expect a reply in Aamchi gal. and then showcase that to everyone. "Amchi ka lulay to, sir." So that was all important for me
So important.
in that sense.
Yeah.
But as life went on, I realized that you had to gel in with the system. And so when I went to Podar College, it was important for me to learn Marathi.
Yeah.
And from scratch, and because you're trying to sort of adjust into a situation of a certain being, and Marathi is the most communicative language.
Yeah.
In the cricketing space, it used to be in those days.
Yeah.
At least in Mumbai. So, थोडं थोडं करून मराठी शिकलो, शिव्या द्यायला शिकलो, शिवा घ्यायला शिकलो.
म्हणजे मराठी शिकला.
हा, म्हणजे काय एक आपुलकी असते मराठीत. Shivya is not only an expression of anger, it is also an expression of camaraderie. It's an expression of, as they call in Marathi, apulki. And that helped a lot, because once you sort of understood the mindset of a Marathi speaking boy and the language itself, you became more comfortable.
True.
So we learned the language, and as you sort of get sucked into the system, you try and adapt to the various nuances of which comes with a certain sport or a profession.
Yeah.
And tashi chalta hai, it became quite easy to be able to lead the teams, because you got down to people's levels.
Okay.
You didn't, Pula Deshpande language antu kadi Shakespeare ullai nahi hai. And you have to come down to Pula Deshpande's language, or his humor, or his thinking.
Right.
So I cannot be quoting Merchant of Venice when I'm speaking to somebody who's grown up on Pula Deshpande, and vice versa. So it was all about adapting, and I think those little things of adaptability to different mindsets, different people, still help me, when I try and analyze, when I speak to youngsters or speak to corporates on leadership. And I think it's a big quality to be able to adapt to people.
Okay. You mentioned about Talmakiwadi and Sonawala. So from Warden Road to Talmakiwadi, was there some kind of connect? Were you coming to Wadi, playing cricket with kids? Any memories that you can recall?
Oh yeah, fantastic memories. I think we used to go and see Swamiji, or Saraswat Society in Santa Cruz. It was a part of my growing up. I mean, my parents obviously didn't force it on me, but as a kid, I see, once I started playing, obviously I never was available. I was playing on weekends all the time. So generally, you went to a function, whether it was at Wadi or this thing, or at Saraswat Colony, and you would meet a distant aunt, and she would say, "Gurtukad," and you said, "Yeah." Till then it was fine. If the next question came, "Asang corner," then you're stumped. Then you say, "Atta yatta, pachi atta yatta," and I would run away, because there was a disconnect. But I think Sunawala, Talmakiwadi, they were all, they were all pleasant memories, because you met so many people who probably understood you, who spoke the same language. I remember coming to Wadi as a kid for most weddings. I think every Aamchi got married in the Wadi. Or, there was a function, you went to the Wadi. You had a few relatives staying there, so you visited them often. Mumbai was a much more congenial place in those days. Bombay in those days, where you could walk into people's houses, without, and probably stay for dinner without giving any intimation, that kind of thing.
Very different days.
So it had an innocence about it. It also had a feeling of being together, which I enjoyed. And as I started making a name in cricket, I was treated very well, because I say, "Arey, cricket kya tha?" That kind of thing. So little things that made you feel important in life. And of course, a very important part of my life, to be, I may not be so connected to so many of my relatives, but I'm very strong Aamchi at heart.
That's really
because
amazing
of my distances.
Nice to know.
And really without being anything enforced on me. I don't think anybody enforced it or forced it. You have to be a hardcore Aamchi follower, or you have to speak in Aamchi Gale. But what is Aamchi Gale? It's a mixture. I mean, British have taken a lot from us. Window open, Kellery, gentle breeze. What's so British about it? What's so Aamchi about it?
True. So Shishir, coming to your and I did hear and I did see the TED talks that you've been giving, and extremely motivating. I would want you to specifically talk about the TED talks, because we have a lot of our listeners, especially the millennials, the younger generation, for whom I would say success has a very different level of definition. it's difficult to accept failure sometimes, right? So can you share a few more thoughts about it?
So very quickly, I mean, I'm not here to give any gyan, but my observation from a changing or having been a part of two generations. One is playing, starting with the Gavaskars and then playing with Sachin for Bombay. I realized that the stakes of playing the game had changed, albeit there was a very strong value system in terms of work ethic, whether it was a Gavaskar or whether it was a Sachin Tendulkar. The work ethic and the commitment to sport and giving to the sport was always there. But I realized the peripherals changed because money came in big time. IPL came in. The level of success was quantified by money. In the good old days, you went to somebody's house and they would say, a middle class Maharashtrian staying at Shivaji Park, you went for dinner because there was mutton curry served, and you went there and you sat with the elderly gentleman and he'd say, "Kai karto?" I said, "Oh, cricket khelto." "Arey ho, te theek hai, but karto kai?" Times have changed where, if you go to somebody's house and he says, "Kai karto?" and you say, "IPL khelto," so you would probably ask the parent, "Yachi kundli द्या ना बघतो आम्ही कुठे match होते काय."
Totally
You become,
dimensions have changed.
because you also reached a level, एक respectability आल्या because of money. Yes, there is a lot of flip side to it, but I also feel the flip side is dangerous because I think a lot of parents have become ambitious for their children. Like, you want them to do well. Obviously, as every parent wants your child to do well. And his success is always, tangibility has changed. आत कितले एक auction and पैसे मिळता, that's an important part of your success. And the rejection rate has also changed because your stakes are high. Rejection has been handled differently. Parents feel let down, children feel they've let their parents down. And it's all, you'll find a lot of rejection and dejection. And I keep telling coaches today, it's not your job only to train them, it is also your job to make them handle failure.
True.
Because because of all the pressures that accumulate in modern day sport, you're always looking over your shoulder to say who's gone ahead. And it's so important for coaches, mentors, and leaders to accommodate failure as a part of your game plan. Everybody makes plans for success. Jinkler, everybody is happy. Captain takes credit, players get credit. Because eventually you're going to lose someday. And when you lose someday, does the captain or the leader or people or parents or mentors have an action plan? Boss, this is a part of your journey. Don't worry. Don't take this as a emphatic statement from the game to you. And I keep warning kids, that eventually you will fail. And if failure is a part of the whole process, you don't have to worry, aaj fail salary, you're going to be failing again. You will succeed. Of course you will succeed. I mean, I give them my example. I said, boss, I never played serious cricket till I was in the 12th standard. And that's quite late in life. But by the time I was 19, I was playing for Bombay in Ranji Trophy, opening with Gavaskar. And I say that, look, I don't take my story as a success story of, that can break the world apart. But I know myself that I was never, in the mix. And then suddenly I found myself because of the quantum of runs I was scoring, and you got recognized. I remember small incident, and I'd like to share that with all youngsters, and they can apply it to every walk of life that they're working in. We work hard, we try and do things because it equals to a result. And that result could be a tangible number in terms of your CTC. It could be the whether you played for India, whether you're getting X number of rupees in the IPL, or have you graduated to another level as a sportsman. I never look at all these things. There's a beautiful line by Sambit Bal, the writer, who wrote about Sachin Tendulkar. And it said very clearly that, Sachin Tendulkar reminds me of a Sufi saint who surrendered his craft or surrendered himself to the craft. How could cricket not love him back?
True.
So don't worry about what comes out of it. Just give it everything because you believe that you're passionate, you love it.
Yeah.
and results will come. It's all a matter of everything going right for you.
Yeah.
Failures will come, and failures ought to come. They're
Mm.
very. I mean, one of my biggest problems as a cricketer. I mean, people say, "Where did I miss out?" And I say that, yeah, maybe I couldn't handle failures as well.
Mm. Mm.
I would not come out of them and move on as fast as the guys who did much
Mm.
better than me.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
And today I keep telling youngsters the same thing. Don't allow the failures to sort of, engulf your disappointment.
True.
Uh, Analyze it, say where you've gone wrong,
Yeah.
and improve on it and move on. It's like, as easy as saying, there's a death in the family. I know it's
Mm.
very hard to come out of it,
Mm. Mm.
but
Yeah.
that's the only way. Eventually, you have to come out of it
Yeah. And get moving. Yeah.
and
Agree. Yeah.
and get moving, because while we're in this world and in this space of ours,
Yeah.
we have to move on. And
True.
I have to tell every youngster that don't get worried about failure. Don't
Yeah.
get worried about "Arey, tak main, mak main nahi." No, no, no,
Mm.
no, no. It'll come. It'll come.
Yeah.
It'll come. Just believe that what you're doing is right, and keep
Mm.
keep going at it with the same passion.
Yeah.
आज नहीं तो मैथल है, and learn how to handle it when you get it.
Agree.
Don't start walking on air.
Yeah, yeah. Your role in the IPL in the initial days for Deccan Chargers, and then as in terms of re-strategizing Mumbai Indians. Can you share some interesting facets and some interesting moments you would have enjoyed, especially IPL as we connect? It's all about, as you rightly said, money, but I'm sure there is something much more. There's true spirit of cricket out there.
Well, the spirit comes from the fact that it's a very deeply researched system, which goes into runs, wickets, strike rates of every player who comes on the auction table.
Yeah.
And also there is the corporate look of value for money.
Yeah.
Which is something you cannot identify in sport very easily, because it takes one ball to get out and it takes one ball to get a good wicket or whatever. But I think most of these numbers and all that are based on perception too, and vision. And sometimes it takes a lot to convince owners that why you believe, and that is where you require to empower a captain, because ultimately I believe that he's the one who takes the players on the field. आणि जोपर्यंत त्या कॅप्टनाक तुम्ही कॉन्फिडन्स दिना ती, की because there's going to be only one winner. So if there are 7 teams, there are going to be 6 teams who are going to be upset or going to rework their strategy.
True. Yeah.
But if you see the successful teams, they've empowered the captain. Be it Mumbai Indians, they empowered Rohit Sharma.
Yeah.
Be it Dhoni or CSK, they've empowered him. You do what you want. Come to us when you need us.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think it's evolving in that sense, because the owners are slowly taking a backseat. They used to be over involved.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have no answers for winning and losing.
True. And I think the owners themselves were very known public faces, so it mattered probably.
Well, yeah, and that is bound to be, because a part of the selling tool of the IPL is that. But more importantly, I think owners also realize that the captain and playing the game is different from sitting in auction rooms.
Yeah.
And it was also an education for us, people like us, to try and convince owners on certain issues.
Yeah.
That sometimes in sport there are no answers.
Yeah.
It's not like, अरे मैंने माल supply किया है, वो पैसा भी दिया है, फिर result क्यों नहीं दिया? It doesn't work like that. We've paid advance, we've done this. So I think owners have realized a good health in the team, a good vibe in the team, a good atmosphere. They're working on the peripherals of what makes a team happy.
Yeah.
And what can sort of amplify their success, or what can, the various steps that you take to make a team do well. So they've realized one is over involvement can be detrimental.
Yeah.
They've also realized a good vibe within the team is positive. Also, monitoring their progress in the off season is important.
Yeah.
Also, injury management in the off season is important.
Yeah.
And also, creating a good atmosphere in the system, in the team, where they are in constant touch with other. Because while you say that the IPL may be played for over 45 days, there's a lot that goes in, pre and post.
Yeah.
So I think owners have slowly realized that it's not only about, the symphony, so to speak, is the IPL or the tournament, but the prelude to the symphony is equally important, which actually creates that atmosphere for what you do in those 45 days.
True. Yeah.
It's a learning process. We never realized when we were playing that, with a strike rate of 150, you could be a hero if you played only 2 balls.
Yeah, true. Your current role in your professional journey. Now you're currently the CEO of the Baroda Cricket Association. Where do you see Indian cricket going ahead? I mean, we all know it's India's biggest passion and a quote-unquote industry by itself. But India-Australia Test Series, is that a big turning point?
It is, and it has a lot to do with the game spreading across India, talent spreading, talent being picked. Good old days, you never realized that there must have been talented cricketers in corner of foreign fields across India, and they had no recognition because the game hadn't spread.
Yeah.
Cricketers from all over India came to Mumbai or Bombay to showcase their talent because the power centers that were there, and you got seen. Take for argument's sake a Salim Durrani, take for argument's sake Hanuman Singh, players who played for India with distinction. They would have been lost in the crowd or no crowd somewhere in Jamnagar or Banswara if they hadn't come to Mumbai and played club cricket and been recognized. So that's one advantage. The game is spread, so you'll get talent and you'll keep getting talent. Infrastructure is improved, so players from smaller towns are getting opportunities to play. Also, the web of the talent scouts across India in IPL or anywhere are now forcing themselves into smaller towns to see where the talent is.
Okay.
So, word spreads around faster now if there is some talent. Jasprit Bumrah coming from this vague action that he had to be through the IPL ranks and not state ranks, IPL and then state, to be in the world, top 5 of the world. Is a journey that has a template of being picked when you're nobody because of a very reasonably fine setup. I know that India is going to be tougher because it's a bigger country and it's got the economic issues of really underprivileged people playing the game.
True.
But it's in good shape because you see a lot of people who make great stories coming from nowhere. And that's the aspirational story of Indian cricket, like any sport.
True. Before we leave, any promising career cricketers that you see in due course with your experience?
I see so many of them, and it'll be very unfair to break it down to names at this stage because I know somebody will feel that his name is not taken.
I understand.
And I that is something that hurt me a lot in my playing days. That my name was not taken somewhere. I used to feel, "Yaar, what has he got against me? How come white kella?" So I don't want to do that. Absolutely. I want to make sure that everybody who has a desire and a passion, he gives it everything. And just don't worry about what comes out of it. Just give it everything, and it will come. And it will come, and when it comes, be prepared to how you handle it, because that could be the biggest enemy. If you don't know how to handle it, you could be regretting what you did. I've seen a few players in my time who couldn't handle it. I tell them, talk about it to the next generation. You could have improved or you could have helped yourself. And spread that gospel to the next generation, because you have a story to tell, and that story can only help the next generation. Who I'm talking about, a lot of players who played under. And I personally call them up and tell them, say it, talk to them, talk to people, say where you slipped, because that is going to be your biggest contribution to the future.
True.
See, Papa and Amman Sangler kona aikana, the Bhairchan Sanglari. It's a common thing, our parents used to tell somebody close, sang ashi, aikatala. Even now, I
Position.
believe they say it, that Lagna Karam Sang Taka.
Hmm.
When is a bachelor boy who's in the marriage market, because he
Yeah,
gets irritated if the parents talk about it. So they'll
correct.
tell somebody close, "Tak sang, sang, sang,"
Hmm.
that kind of thing. So it's the same with cricket or any walk of life. Bahar chan sanglari,
Yeah,
maybe you'll absorb it better, it'll stick in your mind better. And
true.
more importantly, it'll probably ring a bell that,
Hmm.
somebody who's made that mistake is telling me.
Yeah, yeah.
So it worries me that, with so many tangibles coming into the game,
Hmm.
that this is an area we should look at very carefully. One is how to handle rejection,
Yeah,
and also how to handle success.
yeah, true. It's a fine game there, fine balance. Yeah. Shishir Hattangadi, absolutely lovely and amazing talking to you. Well, he is the CEO of the Baroda Cricket Association, but more importantly, a very, very true to heart Aamchi who makes us so much proud. Thank you so much, Shishir, for joining us on the Aamchi Legends.
Thank you so much for having me. And ironic, and the pleasant thing is today I'm going to have batata song for lunch. So,
Oh, wow, that's
uh,
interesting.
I've had a full Amchi day. I mean, I can't complain. It's been one
Awesome.
of my better Sundays. Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's the end of this episode of Aamchi Legends. And of course, as always, one guy who's been at the helm of ensuring Aamchi Legends month on month comes on our Facebook page is Samiir Halady, who has been conceptualizing this show and marketing this show. So a big thanks to Samiir for this. And yes, for now, from me, Santosh Sirur and Shishir Hattangadi, thank you once again for joining us on Aamchi Legends.
Thank you.